I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of Beyond the Fear podcast, the place where y'all come for motivation, inspiration, uplifting, and an overall positive message. I'm your host, DJ, and today's episode is inspired by a conversation I was having with a friend the other day about therapy, just in general, like how it and how that therapy, how my therapy specifically has helped with my healing journey. But before we get into that, I just want to give a real quick shout out to my homegirl, Shonda. She's thinking about starting a podcast. So, you know me, just a lot of love, a lot of encouragement. So, shout out to you, Shonda. I hope that you do decide to do the podcast and you already know as soon as you do, you let me know. I'm shouting you out. And doing everything that I can to promote and help the podcast be successful. And I can't wait to show up on the podcast because I think that's going to be an amazing episode. But you know, because she's been so supportive of me from day one, and I've been supportive of her, of course. So just to see her branching out from what she's been doing to now get into this podcast space. Shout out to her. I'm very proud of her. And I hope that she actually does pull the trigger and do it. So as soon as you let me know the name of the podcast, I'm gonna shout it out. I'm gonna show love, and I'm gonna get on to one of those episodes so we can talk. But back to the episode. Like I said, I was having a conversation with one of my friends about therapy and how much therapy has changed my life and my viewpoints on things. um Therapy not it hasn't just changed my life. Therapy has saved my life. That therapy, and just as crazy as it sounds, going through my last relationship, those things changed my life because I know the trajectory that I was on while I was in my relationship. After leaving my relationship, my trajectory was just, I was just in a bad space, a bad head space. Just mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, I was just in a bad space all the way around in any way that you can think of. It was just a bad space. I just was not in a good place in any way, shape, or form in my life, after the relationship and before therapy. So, we were just sitting down and it was like a 3 hour long conversation about, it wasn't just about therapy, but that was like a good chunk of the conversation, and just like how much it's changed my viewpoint, how much it's changed the way I look at things. Like, it's so crazy because now I can watch a movie or a TV show that I watched years ago, and whatever I was feeling back then, I have a totally different opinion on things now because I'm seeing things through different lenses. I know a few weeks ago I talked about how we can't filter everything that we hear and everything that we see through our trauma. So now that I'm starting to deal with my trauma, now I'm starting to work through my trauma, there are things that I can see and hear now that I can watch certain things and I can hear certain things now and get something totally, pull something totally different from it than what I did a few years ago, because not everything is being filtered through my trauma. Now, again, there's still trauma there, but it's not all trauma. So I can start to look at things with from a clear picture, a clear perspective, because I'm not allowing my trauma to cloud my judgment 100%. You know what I'm saying? There are times when I can sit back and really, just take in what I just saw or take in what I just heard, and I can process it without allowing the trauma to interfere with what I'm hearing. And so it's one of those things where because she said that she's noticed it, right? That's what sparked the conversation, is that she said that she noticed the change in me, that I'm a very different person, not completely different, because there's things about me I'm still, I'm still funny, still love to laugh, still cracking the jokes, but she can definitely tell that when it comes to me handling things, when it comes to me handling adversity, or you know handling other people, she can definitely sense the difference in how I handled things before and how I handle things now. The way I did things before, the way I was moving before, and the way I move now. She can definitely tell, especially when it comes to something like that that used to anger me or frustrate me. She was like, yeah, you led with anger, you led with frustration. Those were the things that, you know, you were quick to anger, quick to frustration, quick to be annoyed, quick to, excuse me, quick to lash out when certain things happen. And now I can see you kind of being more quiet, you taking that breath, you know what I'm saying, you kind of internalizing, some of these emotions that you would be very upfront, very vocal, you would lead with some of these negative emotions. And so, you know, and as much as I would love to be like, yeah, that's just me, that natural growth, it took a lot of work, and we were just talking about how much work goes into therapy. And I was just letting her know that no, it's not easy. It's not the easiest thing to do, to open up to somebody you don't know, um to tell somebody you don't know these things about you, things that maybe no one else knows. It ain't the easiest thing to do, but it is worth it when you find that right person, when you connect with that right therapist, and you can start to heal from things that you've held on to for so long. You feel it, like literally in the moment. Like there'll be times where my therapist will ask me a question. We'll get to talking, talking, talking. And as I'm saying something, once I'm through saying it, I can literally feel a weight lift off my shoulders. I can literally feel weight lifting off my chest, lifting off my back. And it's like, that's why I did this. That's why I reacted this way. That's why certain things get such a strong reaction from me. And it's like, it's so deep seated and it's so rooted in me, and it was buried so deep that, you start to see, wow, like that trauma really took control of me, really took hold of me. It really made me into somebody that I did not want to be, and that I didn't even notice that I was. So, you thinking with me, I'm thinking I'm just this amazing, cool, chill, fly person. And it's like, now I'm very unhinged when I really, sit back and honestly look at things, and I put that mirror in front of myself and I take an honest look and an honest view at myself. Now I've done some very unhinged things. I have some very unhinged tendencies when it comes to certain things. And so, therapy has definitely brought out a lot of negative things. It has shown me a lot of negative things. It has forced me to put that mirror to my face and to expose where a lot of this stuff started, what brought a lot of this stuff about. Why do I view things the way that I view things? And, and it's just bringing up a lot of trauma, and a lot of it comes from my childhood. And a lot of it, at the time when you're going through it, you think it's normal. You think that it's everyday life. That's why you don't complain about it, because you see everybody going through it. You look to your left, you look to your right, you see your friends going through some of the same things. So it's like, nah, that's just normal. That's just normal stuff. So you learn to make that your new normal. All this trauma is just your new normal. And, if you don't know any better, that's how you view it. You view the trauma as the norm. And that's what we've done. We have normalized our trauma. So we are very desensitized to it. You know what I'm saying? So we don't look at it as trauma. We look at it as, oh man, that's just life. You know what I'm saying? That's just life doing what it do. And that shouldn't be the case. But again, because we're all so used to it, it's so normal. You grow up in certain places. That's just the thing that you deal with. That's the thing that you're going to see. That's the thing that not everybody, but so many people have a very similar story. It's like, even she said, especially as black women, they go through as young girls, they go through some of the same things with their moms. It's like, man, were we raised by the same woman? And but that's just what it is because they were probably raised in similar situations. So they grow up with certain values, similar values, certain ways of doing things, ways of parenting. So they give it to us. And we go through these things and then we give it to our kid. And it's just a generational thing because it's generational trauma, but we make it a generational norm. That trauma is just a norm generation after generation. The trauma is just getting worse. And it's like now your capacity for trauma, it grows every generation because now you're adding new trauma to the next generation and you're making it their norm because they're getting it from day one. And so it's it definitely has shown me the importance of therapy and that everybody needs therapy. A lot of us need therapy just to talk to somebody. And you know what I'm saying? And I think that we got to get rid of this narrative that therapy is only for mental illness. Therapy should be for any and everybody, man. Everybody needs somebody to talk to who can, listen to their issues, listen to their problems and help them get to a healthier space mentally. Everybody needs that. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with needing help. You know what I'm saying? And we got to erase that narrative. So as I was talking to her and, she was just telling me about, why she doesn't go to therapy or why it's hard for her to think about therapy in that way. And I'm just like, and I get it, right? Because I've been there. I had been knowing for months, like I said, after the breakup that I needed therapy, but I never wanted to take that first step, right? It's something new. It's a fear. I'm worried about what this person is going to say, what this person is going to try to make me do. It's just all of these things are running through my head. So I was running from it, and running from it. And honestly, for me, it was my mom, my mom being that, hey, you did this. Hey, here's some papers. Here's some therapists. Here's a list of therapists. My therapist number is XYZ. It was just her constantly pushing, constantly saying, hey, you set up an appointment. Hey, you did this. And it was just like, so even when I did it, like I did I filled out the paperwork. Oh, the paperwork with the application, and then I did like the little question, the assessment. When I did the assessment, it was just like, oh, let me just do this, so that way, I ain't got to keep trying to come up with an excuse as to why I didn't do it or nothing like that. Let me just go ahead and do it. And so I was still reluctant, even going into my first session. And so I go into my first session, and that's really just more like a fill out session. I'm just trying to figure out why I'm here, what I'm trying to get from it. Can she even help me? Is this an area that she works in, just things like that. So even after the first session, because it was really just a fill out session, just to get to know me session. I was really just like, nah, ain't no real reason to even, end up being therapy. So I'm still reluctant. Second session come around, we do a little bit more. It's still some filling out, but there's actually some therapy. We're starting to talk about some things. So it wasn't until like my fourth or fifth session with her when it was really like, okay, this is why I came. This is why I needed to be here. I'm glad that I actually did this. It was like my fourth or fifth session with her when I really had that moment of, okay, I'm glad I came. I'm glad I'm here now. I'm glad I'm doing these things because this is going to help me. I finally started to see the light, at the end of the tunnel, the fourth or fifth session in. So, and so that's something that I told her because, if you're looking for the instant gratification, if you're looking for that breakthrough after, one session, that's not it. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to help you temper your expectations and to come with more realistic expectations, because you're not going to get that big breakthrough after one session. You may not even get that big breakthrough after 4 or 5 sessions. I don't know when it's going to come, but just stick with it, because it's going to, well, once you find the right one for you, it's going to come, but it's going to come at its time. You know what I'm saying? There is no set time limit or a set number of sessions before the breakthrough. So I don't know when the breakthrough is going to come for you, but it is worth it. It's worth going through it, because how can I put this? When I tell you, your world changes once you start having those breakthroughs, because you start to look at things through different lenses. Because again, as I've talked about, we look at the world through our trauma. We hear the world through our trauma. So, as you start to deal with your trauma and you start to heal from your trauma and you start to let things go, now you start to see things differently. You start to understand things differently. You start to handle things differently, because everything isn't being filtered through your trauma. Everything isn't being absorbed through your trauma, or rejected because of your trauma. You're able to absorb things, and you're able to look at things from, a realistic perspective. You're able to, even if you don't agree with it, you're able to understand things and understand viewpoints and understand why someone would feel this way or think this or whatever the case may be, because you're not allowing your trauma to dictate how you feel about something. You're not allowing your trauma to change your viewpoint or something, or to lead how you're going to view things. You know what I'm saying? So it is definitely literally eye opening and life changing at the same time, because now you're starting to pull that veil, that trauma veil, from your eyes. So now you can see people for the first time. You can hear people for the first time. That was another thing that we talked about. Like, as I'm going through my therapy, I'm starting to realize why my ex said that she didn't feel heard and she didn't feel seen, because everything that she said, I heard through my trauma. So I only heard what I wanted to hear. I didn't hear her. I just heard what I wanted to hear, or I saw her from my perspective. I didn't ever take the time to really just look at her and see everything that she went through. I just saw everything that she was putting me through. And so your trauma, your trauma does a number on you. Like, and that's like one of the big things that I've learned through therapy, is that our traumas basically, they mold us. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us, especially, again, like, where you come, depending on where you come from, your trauma molds you. Your trauma makes you who you are. It's not so much your parents. It's not so much, your upbringing. It's the trauma. Because I mean, I guess it still is your parents and your upbringing, but your parents are full of trauma. Your upbringing is full of trauma. So your trauma is molding you. You know what I'm saying? And once you start going to therapy, like going to therapy, how can I put it, man? Going to therapy is like you starting all over, right? You're just this piece of clay, and now as you're going through therapy, you're starting to mold yourself into whatever masterpiece you're getting ready to mold yourself into. That's what therapy is. Therapy is that molding process of, like, you putting yourself back together. You know what I'm saying? Because you're trying to tear everything down that the trauma has built up, and that's a lot. Especially for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, trauma is throughout me, throughout my entire life. My entire life has just had trauma, and I'm not saying that like I had the worst childhood, the worst upbringing in the world, but I'm just saying that there is trauma in every single stage of my life. And now that I'm starting to deal with the trauma and slowly starting to remove the trauma, I'm realizing that I'm having to rebuild myself, rebuild who I am, rebuild what I think, why I think that way. What's my process? There's so many things that I'm having to change because there were things that in my mind I viewed a certain way and that's just what it was. Whereas now I don't necessarily just strictly view those things that way. There's room for understanding now because I didn't have much understanding before. There's room for let me let me get both sides of the story. Let me hear everything. I want to get as much information as possible. I don't want to just have a quick trigger judgment or a quick trigger decision making. I want to get as much information, as much understanding it's just all of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely changed the way I view things because there were things that I just instantly thought for whatever reason, hey, this is right, this is wrong. I'm not going go back and forth with you. Like, this is how I feel. This is what I think. This is where I stand. And I was firm in it. And it's like, but I can also understand how my trauma blinded me to certain things and how my trauma hardened my hearing to certain things and how therapy is now allowing me to see things and see people for the first time. And some people I'm enjoying, getting to know them without the trauma filtering it, what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. And other people it's like, it's making me take more of a step back. So it's definitely it's a great thing. And I think that ultimately it leads to a lot of great it's going to lead to some things that, in the moment may not feel great because they're going to be people in your life that you're going to start to, like I just said, take a step back from because you start to realize, okay, this person is way more of a leech than they are a friend. This person is way more draining than they are uplifting. This person takes way more than they give. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot for me. Like, I have to mentally gear up, mentally prepare to be around this person or to talk to this person. Okay, maybe I don't need to be around this person. You know what I'm saying? Or this person who I thought was just this negative or just this whatever type of person. Oh no, they just they just don't tolerate BS. They don't tolerate foolishness. They have boundaries. They have an understanding, and if you operate outside of what they want around them, they don't fool with that. So you may have thought, oh, that's fake. That you just a fake individual. And then as you start to heal and you start to go through things and you start to realize, okay, no, that's important. I know what I want around me. I know where I'm trying to go. I know some of the things that I need to get to where I want to be. And you're not operating in that. You're operating in something, excuse me, opposite of where I'm trying to go. You're operating in ways that are way more detrimental than they are healthy. You're hurting me way more than you're helping me. Your ideas, your lifestyle, whatever that is going against where I'm trying to go. Okay, yeah, I do need to stay away from that. And you start to understand that. And you start to understand that ain't fake. That's just them being real. That's them being honest about what they're trying to do, where they're trying to go, who they're trying to be, what they're trying to build, and understanding and seeing that the way that you operate or the way certain people operate goes completely against what they're trying to do and where they're trying to go. And I don't know too many people trying to get ahead in life who are going to hold on to an anchor that's weighing them down, who are going to continue to drag dead weight that's making their hard journey harder. You know what I'm saying? You cut ties because you're trying to get to where you need to be. You don't mean no harm, but it's like you understand that what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go, you completely understand that you can't do what you've been doing and expect something new. You can't keep going the way you've been going and expect a new destination. You know, it's things that again make perfect sense. It just feels like it's common sense, but I understand now that trauma clouds a lot of your judgment. Trauma can cloud a lot of what you're hearing and what you're seeing and what you're thinking. So I know that a lot of things that we do and we say and the things that we view, for a lot of people that I know, it's trauma. You know what I'm saying? Trauma has led people down these paths. So I mean, I recommend I recommend therapy to anybody. I don't care. You could have the best childhood. I don't care. I recommend therapy to everybody because you just never know. You never know what someone is going through because they'll smile and they'll have the best attitude. Because I was one of those people. I was one of those people. You The only way for you to really know that I was going through something is to really be close with me. I mean, like really be close. You would have to really, 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 really know me to know that I was going through something because I can make a joke out of anything. I can smile through anything. And you would have really had to know me because I can, like I said, I can smile and I can joke and I can play and I can just be my normal, happy go lucky self through a lot of things because that was my defense mechanism anyway. Like my natural default was to laugh. I picked that up when I was like around 8 years old, and I lost my grandma. She was like one of the closest people to me. At 8, you don't know how to deal with death. So natural thing was just to laugh. I didn't know how to deal with anything. And you're a young black boy in the hood. You don't you don't get to be emotional. You don't get to cry. You don't get to express that. So the only thing you can do is suppress it. And the only way that I knew at the time how to suppress it was to laugh. So that's what I do. That's what formed a lot of who I am, especially as you get to know me. I joke a lot. I play a lot. I laugh a lot. I love to see people laughing around me. I love to see people having a good time. So that's what I do. I smile, I joke, and I laugh through my pain, through the hard times, through whatever. And it's when once I get by myself, that's when I'm just kind of like, ready to break down mentally when I'm by myself. But if somebody's around, I put on that mask and I'm out there laughing, joking, playing, and then, again, when I get by myself, I'm back ready to break down, because I'm never dealing with anything. I'm never asking for help. I'm never, none of that. You know what I'm saying? So it was a very draining lifestyle, but it was the only thing that I knew. So, and I mean, I'm doing my best to pour into people, right? Because again, it's another thing that I am. I'm that friend that you go to when you need motivation, when you need uplifting, and again, that was one of the reasons why people kept saying you should do a podcast, you should write a book, because I was that person who was uplifting and encouraging everybody, but inside I was hurting, inside I was broken, inside I had nothing left to give myself, but as soon as somebody come around, as soon as somebody get on the phone, I got the mask on. And I'm being Mr. Wise and Mr. Wisdom and all of this stuff. And meanwhile, on the inside, I'm empty. I was literally a husk. You know what I'm saying? I was a shell. I had nothing for me on the inside. I had no motivation to do anything. I had no motivation, no drive, nothing for myself. But if you call me needing some inspiration, needing some motivation, needing some words of encouragement, whatever, I got that for everybody else. Did not have it for myself. Not one bit. I was so empty on the inside. and and I operated like that for years, just empty on the inside, dead on the inside, but when people come around, I'm gonna put on that mask and and I'm gonna give you these good words and I'm gonna make you feel great about yourself. I'm gonna pick you up after somebody done tore you down, whatever the case may be. I'm gonna do all of that for you, and I'm gonna mean every single word of it. It's not like I'm trying to lie to you or something like that. I really mean it, when I'm giving you these encouraging words, and when I'm telling you that I'm proud of you, when I'm telling you that you're a hard worker and that, it's gonna come. I mean all of that. It's just I didn't have it for myself. I could not explain to you why I didn't have it for myself because I don't know, but I just didn't. I did not have it for myself at all. You know what I'm saying? It was not there for me. I didn't know how to be there for myself. I didn't have anything to give myself because, I have to be in mass mode and giving it to everybody else. But therapy has shown me that it's time. Well, it's helped me to realize that it's time for me to take the mask off. And so all of the encouraging words that I would have for everybody else, I'm doing my best to give to myself and to pour into myself. And it's not the easiest thing to do when when I've had that mask on for so long. It's kind of hard to not operate with the mask on and to be there for other people is definitely hard. But I'm getting there, and I do appreciate the encouraging words that everybody's giving me. I do appreciate, when my friends come to me and they acknowledge, man, I see that change in you, because that does lift my spirits. Sometimes it's something as small as that, as man, I see the change in you. You know what I'm saying? It may just be words to them. It may just be lip service to them, or they may mean it. But either way it go, it means so much to me, and it does something for me, and it lets me know that I'm headed in the right direction, and it makes it a lot easier to keep putting myself first and to keep pouring into myself and not taking and not you know resisting it. And it's helping me to resist that urge to put the mask back on, because that's who I've been for so long that it's just hard to let those habits die, or to just put those habits to the side right now, because I need to work on this. I need to be able to work on me. And so it's been it's been hard to not pick that mask back up, but I'm working, and and it's getting easier to do it, but it's still a challenge, because again, you have your friends who just that just need an encouraging word here and there. And it's like, when somebody's been the source of that for so long, natural instinct is just to go back to that. But I'm learning, I'm getting better with it. And and just those encouraging words that my friend gave me the other day, about just where I am in life, it was a huge pickup. It was like a great thing. And and in that moment I thanked her for that, and for giving me those encouraging words, because that was also something that I didn't do well. Was talk about my emotions, talk about my feelings, talk about, when somebody says something that's really touching to me, whether it be like it touched a negative emotion or it touched a positive emotion, I didn't speak on it. So, that's something that I do now. So I definitely thanked her for, giving me that encouraging word, even though she didn't know it was encouraging. She didn't know that it was going to do that for me. She was just, recognizing where I am in life, and and just saying, "Wow, I see you. Keep going, keep doing your thing." And so that felt great for me. And so I told her thank you for that. And yeah, it meant a lot to get that. But that's it for today's episode, man. Again, just remember, man, therapy is important. It's not just for mental health. It's not for, I know we're told crazy people and all this stuff, but therapy is for everybody. Therapy is for anybody. Any and everybody can and should go to therapy, man. Just check it out. See if it's for you. It can be so refreshing when you're with the right people. One thing that I do hear about, though, is just people being with the wrong people, or just the wrong therapist trying to diagnose these things. So I do caution, hey, you got to make sure you find the right people, what I'm saying, the right therapist. Make sure you getting the right connection and you're getting the right help that you need. but I do recommend at least trying it, before you just say, no, therapy ain't for me. At least try it a couple of times with different people and see, how you feel. But yeah, man, that's today's episode. I want to thank everybody for listening on whatever platforms y'all are listening on. I appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to the podcast, man. Thank y'all so much. And to everybody on YouTube watching this episode, I appreciate y'all too. Please continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I want to continue growing, man. And I hope that y'all have a blessed day.